This is IGN. It is indeed alive. This is your IGN review of Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein by Scott Kolura. Pretty much everyone knows the story of Frankenstein, and Del Toro, who's been trying to get a movie based on the iconic novel made for at least 20 years, doesn't deviate from Mary Shelley's work in any way that anyone but fans of the OG would notice. Some characters are missing, others are added, but the bones of the story remain intact. Man makes monster, man rejects monster, monster gets pissed off. But more than just intact, these bones are also seemingly pulled from or carved out of Dr. Frankenstein's choicest picks, his finest specimens, because this iteration of Frankenstein is, like its creature, a beautiful, haunting thing through which classic themes are made to feel fresh and new. Not only is Victor Frankenstein, played by Oscar Isaac, a monster for much of the film's runtime, cue everyone's favorite "who's the real monster" line, but he's a monster who was spawned by a monster, his stringent and abusive father Leopold, played by Charles Dance, who at this point in his career is destined to play the same miserable asshole over and over again. So, of course, that generational pain continues to rear its ugly head, or perhaps in this case, not so ugly, when Victor brings life to his creature, played by a scarred yet still movie star handsome Jacob Elordi. Elordi is a marvel here, and his creature exhibits Marvel-esque superhuman powers, which is fun, belying his turns as bad guys or unsympathetic characters in titles like Euphoria, Priscilla, and Saltburn. No, while the creature in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein will mess you up if need be, and does in fact mess up man and beast alike in spectacular fashion, del Toro writes him and Elordi plays him in the finest Karloffian vein, a sympathetic, sad sack SOB who just wants a friend. That the actor also seems to be channeling the body work of Guillermo del Toro regular and creature player extraordinaire Doug Jones only accentuates how different Elordi's creature is from past incarnations. He pivots his body, twists his waist, leans in and back, and cocks his head in such a way as to always remind us that, after all, the creature's body is actually a series of bodies that are still getting used to each other. Frankenstein is full of blood and gore and dismembered limbs and ripped off jaws and crunched skulls, but it's not a horror movie. Like the director's 2015 gothic romance Crimson Peak, this is a film that feels big, engulfing the viewer in a world where a sad wife's deep red gown is set against the stark backdrop of a foreboding castle. It's a place where the city streets run red with slaughterhouse blood, where a frozen battlefield is marked by a horse covered in ice, still in mid-gallop with its rider astride. And yet at the same time, the beauty of creation itself is infectious, as when Elordi's creature first experiences the sun. As Victor tells him, sun is life. Del Toro also wears his geek cred on his sleeve. The creature's design is very clearly inspired by comics legend Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein, while an early experiment by Victor involves half a corpse coming to life in a gasp-worthy but somehow funny scene that feels plucked right out of the Return of the Living Dead. The combination of influences fused together and brought to life by a genius is especially fitting here, given this movie's plot and the 100-plus years of adaptations Mary Shelley's work has endured. And always, it's Del Toro's love of the source material itself that shines through, as the filmmaker tells his unique version of this classic story while still paying respect to the Shelley book that he clearly lives and breathes. Anyone who knows the book can tell you that a happy ending does not seem in the cards for either Victor or the creature. But for Del Toro, the f***ed-up Frankenstein family deserves redemption after all those years of suffering and self-inflicted pain. That Guillermo del Toro chooses to tell his story in two parts, one from Victor's point of view and the other from the creature's, only serves to drive home that this is ultimately a story about atonement and forgiveness. Can the creature forgive Victor's failings as a parent? Can Victor break the long cycle of abuse? Well, you know what they say, all you need is love. Some of us have been waiting 20 years for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. In fact, I could have sworn I even saw Guillermo del Toro's actual drawings in Victor's papers at one point, and it does not disappoint. The filmmaker puts all of his skills to bear in this spin on Mary Shelley's story as he goes for a tale of tragedy, romance, and redemption rather than a straight horror flick, which isn't to say that there isn't plenty of gore or creepy moments, but that's the trimmings of this film, as blood-red as they are. No, Del Toro's really interested in, to paraphrase the creature, why violence so often feels inevitable, and what it takes to stop it. What's the IGN score for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein? 9 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and for the latest updates on Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, visit us at IGN.com.
Spoken Layer.